Welcome back, everybody. It's time. It's the last game of the night. We've got one day after this. Let's do it all. Let's burn out what little bit of energy we have left for the night. We've got JalBagel running Monster Hunter Rise. Jal, take it away, my friend.
Can do. Hello, GOC. Good evening, morning, or afternoon to everybody. My name is JalBagel, and I speedrun Monster Hunter games. I am joined by my very good friend Air. Say hi, Air.
Hello.
And this is Monster Hunter Rise. If you guys don't know this game, it's the most recent installment to the Monster Hunter franchise. It's very fast-paced and fun movement, which is really weird to say for a Monster Hunter game. It's a ton of fun. This is Magnamalo percent. It is the shortest any percent category. This is just the village portion of the game. It's to the very first credits of the game. And for all intents and purposes, this is probably the most fun and most user-friendly, most new runner-friendly speedrun to learn as far as like Monster Hunter games are concerned. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting set up, and we're gonna jump into the run. I just wanted to do my character setup out here because a couple of things that we do set up on purpose. Also, the really cool thing about this game is that you can save. Oh no, not Gald. Let's try that again. Gal. There we go. There are a couple of neat things about this game, one of which being you can set up presets for your... why can't I spell today? You can set up presets for all of your characters, which is really nice, so you don't have to, like... Brother. Third time's the charm. Nailed it. We got it in one. You can set up presets for all of your buddies. You can set up presets for your hunter, everything, and just kind of quick select them. I usually just like to do the default presets for the animals, though. One of the things that we are going to do at the very beginning, it's not a huge strategy. We could probably get away with not doing it, but we are setting the cat to a gathering style palico. What that is going to enable the palico to do is gather extra resources, and that might help us with a couple of required materials for capturing. Might. We'll see if it.
Hopefully.
We'll see if it does. Yeah. The other thing you might notice that we're playing the game in Japanese. It is the fastest text clearing option for us. It just is faster, and by minutes faster. It's kind of wild. Like it can save 2 to 3 minutes the entire run. Without further ado, Air, you want to go ahead and count me in?
Absolutely. 3, 2, 1. Let's jam.
All right, and we are off. So Capcom fortunately learned something after they made Monster Hunter World, and they gave us an absolutely incredible skippable cutscenes in this game too. But for the very first little bit of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be exploring Komura, meeting all of the NPCs, and being introduced to all the facilities. You may immediately notice that I used a little movement, mechanic there. That is our wire bug, that little blue line. Wire bugs are great. They're used for a lot of different things, primarily movement and weapon attacks. We'll be using it a lot for movement.
And one of the interesting things about this particular category is this is a add-ons category. You're going to notice almost immediately that Jal is going to have access to a couple more tools than you might expect with a fresh file. Things like additional weapons and armor, additional resources that are going to play into the routing of the run pretty substantially. And one of the first things we got to do is tear through this dialogue. And Dal mentioned Japanese being fast, and these menus are crispy as well. Japanese will let us tear through dialogue at an alarming rate. So look forward to us getting through that really quickly and making our way over to the Quest Maiden, which is where we're going to do all of our questing from for the rest of the run. And this is where the run kind of begins. We had a tutorial mission here that we'll talk a bit about as we go forward. But from now on, we're kind of in the meat of the run.
Okay, this is Senri, where we're going to get all of our add-ons materials from. Only problem about this is that it does have to check the internet, so that can take some time sometime.
Yeah, and one of the other optimizations here is we are going to use a weapon called the Defender weapon. You'll see Jal equip it and grab some items from the box from those add-ons from Senri. And those are going to help us speed up every fight in the game going forward, as well as in particular this tutorial fight. Let's call it that.
Yeah, big air quotes
Jal,
fight.
Yeah, Jal has a lot of movement to do here that is incredibly precise. Every cutscene is at a fixed point trigger, so Jal knows what exactly to put himself to trigger these cutscenes, and what to do with his menuing, but he's going to have a really cool tool here, the Palamute. You may see him be able to drift along and hurtle across the landscape. This is another form of movement we're going to make a lot of use of throughout this run. And more little dialogue here. As well as setting up our quick crafting. So this is going to let Jal acquire the materials to make those things and automatically craft them without any extra input from him. Later on, he's going to put those into a quick select, and we have our first quote-unquote fight coming up here.
Got it.
Nice.
I missed that every time in practice today, and then got it right here. Let's go.
Nice. So immediately, Jal's going to take that W and grab a small set of Perish Rooms. He's going to let you craft Trank Bombs, which are quietly one of the most overpowered things in this speedrun. Every 2 Trank Bombs saves 40 seconds at least. It's not a joke. That's just what happens. So, we need those. So it's going to set up his item bar to be a quick select that he's familiar with, as well as equip the Gathering Armor set here, which is going to give a little bit less RNG sway over the run. And we do mean traditional RNG, to be clear. We do mean actual randomness.
Yeah, so our next 2 quests are gathering quests, and the equipment that we're wearing is it has gathering skills on it that increases the amount of materials that you get from resource nodes, and that even works for this.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and because every node has a random output, I believe, depending on the node, but 0 to 4 is a pretty common range. Jal is always looking for 2 sets of 3 here. 4 is totally possible in both nodes, but there are things that he wants to gather along the way here, so 2 sets of 4 can be a little bit awkward, because he only has 20 seconds after that gathering is completed to go get what he's looking for in terms of resources, and it can make routing a little bit difficult, but taking 3 nodes is about average for this particular section of the run. We do, of course, have backups, but I prefer not to use them if we don't have to.
Nice.
Nice. Good stuff. Now, Jal's going to go ahead and set up his quick select wheel here, which is going to let him select traps and trank bombs without any menuing. He doesn't have to go through the silly little scroll wheel at the bottom left-hand corner. He's just able to have those tools readily available to him. Did you want to talk about Fanfare Skip real quick?
Yeah, so Fanfare Skip is why I keep fast traveling at the end of the quest. Normally, actually, here, let me do this menuing really quick.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna grab some traps and a couple other items.
Yeah, no, I just had to grab some trap tools so we can make traps for the rest of the run. So Fanfare Skip is a really neat thing. At the very end of the quest, the game likes to congratulate you by showing a little scene with you and your buddies, your dog and your cat, where you'll be petting them, and you'll be like flexing or something like that. It's super cute. It's super cool. It wastes 5 to 10 seconds. We can skip that every single time. After every single quest, it would waste 5 to 10 seconds. And there's 20 plus quests. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we want to skip that every time. There's a couple different ways that we can do that, but the fastest is to fast travel while we are leaving, while the quest timer is ending. Everyone say hi to MHC Palamute. It is another dog. Dogs are really good in this game, and we go out of our way to get that dog there because elemental damage on the dogs is really, really good. We want the elemental damage.
Yeah, elemental damage saves multiple minutes throughout the run. It is one of the, I wouldn't say our main source of damage, but it is definitely a very good supplementary source of damage, and it's going to save a lot of time throughout the run. So getting that dog that has some offensive skills and has, being a second dog is just really strong. And the movement here is kind of interesting. Jal is going to go out of his way to get the gathering nodes quickly as he can, but also Jal's going to demonstrate some of the movement tech in this game, lets him fly across the map. You're going to see more of this later on. There's going to be some missions where he's going to complete a hunt
That's
and then...
really good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nice.
YG?
2
Oh,
spots.
wow.
Okay, so like Era was saying earlier, we generally like 3. 2 here is huge. That saved about 20 to 25 seconds.
That is ridiculous. That is the first time I've seen that happen in this grind. Jal's going to switch armor sets to an offensive set. This set has attack boost 5, which if you haven't played Monster Hunter, that is a very big attack boost for this point in the game. That is a very, very strong piece of equipment, as well as some earplugs, other cool combat things we're going to take advantage of. But expect to see this armor set pretty much, with the exception of 1 year gathering quest coming up for the rest of the run. It's a very, very common set. Jal's going to do some menuing here to equip that second dog, as well as make sure that the dogs are properly equipped for their tools. We basically want to force the dog to use those chain blades, so we remove the other options so that they're just going to use the moves that we want them to use. And immediately, onward we go.
This is our first key quest and our first large monster quest. This is going to progress the story into the next rank of hunts for us. And large monster quests are unique in that they have 2 win conditions: either slay the monster or capture it. And capturing it saves a bunch of time. Instead of hunting the monster to 0% health, we can hunt it to 30%. And our end quest timer is only 40 seconds rather than 60. So a lot of benefits to that. Oh man, we have the perfect opportunity to talk about spawn RNG because it's on the other side of the universe.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. Every single monster has a couple of locations they get spawned in, usually 3, and there is a percentage chance for each zone to be spawned. We have a neutral spawn, a good spawn, and a Narnia spawn. This is a Narnia spawn. It's in the middle of nowhere. Jal has to make a lot of movement to get there, which is relevant because Jal has a couple of buffs he's going to be looking for in every single map. He's looking for the Demon Drug, which he carries with him, which is a permanent attack boost. Demon Powder, which he also carries with him, which is a permanent AoE attack, or a 3-minute AoE attack boost. And a AoE bug that will give him a large attack boost by him smacking it. You saw him do it on the way in here. And that means that he's going to have the ability to do more damage, and he's looking for those on every single route. So a large part of this run is not only knowing where the buffs are, but also knowing when you can and cannot get them, so you can do things like this, which is we have a very limited portfolio of crowd control. We don't have a lot of tools to keep monsters locked down except for DPS, and we're going to take advantage of the extra damage we get from those buffs to keep that uptime and keep the damage flowing. Azuchi is thankfully a fairly straightforward fight. It's fairly fragile. It's already past that 30% threshold Jal mentioned earlier. Close enough for government work. We're going to go and put that trap down and get the kill here in a minute.
Oh, sick. You didn't do the trip. Can you just come into the trap, please?
He's
Thank
being
you.
a bug.
1 and 2.
He's let him operate. Had to get some marathon shenanigans at the end there.
Had to get it out of the way.
Yep. And that's gonna become a running theme in this run as Jal does another menu here to sort out his inventory to make sure that he's ready for the next hunt, and switching to the gathering set. You're gonna notice a lot of these fights are how do we wrangle
Fanfare.
this monster?
This is fanfare. I left a little too early. I could have waited in the tent and saved that, but this is fanfare, and that's what we're trying to skip every time, and you can see exactly how much time it loses.
Mm-hmm.
Tragic. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but...
No, you're fine. So one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to use very limited tools to do a lot of damage very quickly. We'll talk a bit more about this, but like with the Gathering, when you only have 3 nodes, we only have a certain number of tools. And those tools are very precious to us. You'll see us only burn a pitfall trap or another resource like that when we absolutely have to get control of the fight in a very specific situation. And that's one of the reasons that's so important. So Jal has some movement here to get to one of these gathering locations. 3 locations is ideal, 4 is average, and 5 is a tragedy.
And possible.
So yes, and very possible. So send your energy in chat for only 3 gathering nodes, because this is going to be a bit of a deciding moment here for this run. Okay, 3 is not bad. And remember, these nodes can do anywhere between, 0 to 4, or even that's
Oh, wait,
2.
no, 2. Yep. It is possible for this one to have 5. I'm not banking on it, but it is possible.
Prage.
Okay, 1.
Nope.
Sick.
Fantastic. Not enough energy from chat. But no,
Okay, we make our own luck.
We do. And part of this is also, Gel has backups that are a lot of smooth movement. The more backups we have to go to, the longer they become. Think of it like a, expanding radiuses of a circle, right? The first inner circle is pretty fast. The backup is a little bit slower, and then the backup to the backup is much slower still. And that's kind of 5 is the strategy. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And we can miss this. All right, cool. This one could have 0. So many times I've gotten just 0 from that, but it's a-okay.
Well, we're through that. That's the last of the gathering sections. You're going to see Gel's going to switch back to the DPS set and make sure his items are secure for the next coming hunts. And this will begin the main flow of the run, which is see monster, run towards monster, pop buffs, capture monster.
That's why I always say that this run's like really nice for people that want to learn a Monster Hunter run, because it is very much just like a boss rush with some really cool movement and some kind of like intricate game knowledge. It's very enjoyable.
Speaking of little game things, you may notice that the baggy that Jal is fighting right now, whenever he struck the first one, everything around him aggroed. This can work really well for Switch Axe, the weapon he's using right now, as it has a lot of big sweeping attacks, and if you're lucky, they'll run into it just running Blender themselves on your Switch Axe, and it takes every single one free.
Yeah, I guess that's also something that we can talk about too, is weapon choice. I use Switch Axe because I like this weapon, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. But there are 14 different weapons in this game, all kind of perform a little bit differently than the others, and Switch Axe is definitely not the fastest weapon, but I find it to be the fastest for myself, and I really enjoy it. But not all weapons are built equally, so, you kind of either just pick up whatever is fastest, or you pick up what you enjoy the most.
Yeah, and to be clear, it is entirely likely that almost every weapon could do a really comfortable time in this, so don't feel intimidated by not running the best weapon. Pick it up, have fun. It's actually a really cool run. I've been learning it myself. Nowhere near Jal's level, but definitely been learning. So Jal has some movement here. This is actually going to showcase how Rise movement can be heavily optimized. He's going to get this last kill, and he's got a 60-second timer here. Jal needs sleep herbs. And Jal is going to parkour his way across this landscape in a lot of really precise jumps and with careful timing to get a lot of resources very quickly. Sleep herbs can also drop from monster tables, which is something that we really hope happens, because it means more trank bombs. Remember, every single Terra trank bomb saves 40 seconds. So we want those really badly, and this is a really optimized route for getting a lot of resources very quickly. It's really convenient. It's fun movement. Having done that particular run a couple times now, it's really fun to get right. Highly recommend it. And that is movement you can do at home, so it looks intimidating. It's just practice.
Yeah, it really is just practice and understanding how all the tools kind of interact with each other. Because not all Wirebug movement is built equally. It's actually really nuanced.
Yeah, there's things like Jal will do things like hang in the air for a moment just so he has enough time for his sec follow-up leap to refresh a Wirebug and stuff like that. It's really cool. But it's really intuitive. It's really the reason I think it works so well. And onto a very other...
2 for 2 on Narnia spawns. Let's go. Marathon luck. Let's go.
That is rough, but the marathon luck does mean that you now have... you showcase a bit more of the Palamute drifting.
Yeah.
Palamute's movement is very intricate, despite it being, a dog scrabbling his legs furiously. There's actually a lot of nuance to how it plays with angles and how you can kind of get the dog to catapult the right directions, and Jal's going to do some pretty precise movement here to get through to the Great Baggy. And thankfully, Great Baggy is a fairly simple fight. The fight itself is get on top of it and do damage. Which is actually a good time to mention. ZSD's properties as a tool.
Oh yeah, it's perfect time to do that.
So ZSD is your Jal's main source of damage. You ever see him grab onto the monster and do lots of explosions? That's zero-sum discharge. It has super armor. It is basically impossible for Jal to get knocked off, except from a couple of exceptions like paralysis and being stunned. And it is a huge DPS tool. We're actually later on going to get a follow-up tool we'll talk about, which is going to give us even more DPS uptime. It's a really great tool for staying glued to a monster and just tearing through health bars. Given that monsters have, like, 800, 900 health, 30% of that is not hard to find. Big ZSD damage there. Jal staying in that sword form, trying to stay glued to the baggy. Unfortunate knockdown. Gonna have to go for the reload and go in for more damage here. That should bring it into capture range. Yeah, there it is. Now, monsters in this game have some cool quirks. You may notice that the baggy has lots of that frothing at his mouth. That usually indicates the monster's state, free of any like health bar or information. You can learn a lot about what the monster's feeling, as far as like their health pool and rage, whatever, based on visual cues, which makes it really easy to tell how well you're doing in a fight. Once again, restocking and getting ready for the next fight. And this is the flow of this run. If it is, as Jal said, a boss rush.
Yeah, and it like I said, like it's really nice once you start getting comfortable with it, and it is a lot of fun. We're about to do our next key quest, which will get us to 3-star quests. This ends at the end of 4-star, so you unlock 5-star, and that's credits. So we're almost about 30%, through what we need to get done. Next, though, we have to talk to Iori here again to get his key quest, which is Magnamalo. And so we talked a little bit about dog damage earlier, about how elemental damage is really good on the dogs. And so this is when that is going to actually come into play. Magnamalo, we're going to build Magnamalo weapons for our Palamutes, and that's going to help us on the next couple of fights where Fire Element is actually a desirable matchup.
Yeah, and it's one of the biggest upgrades for the player in this run, aside from a very, very, very big one later on. I think it's the second biggest upgrade for the player in this run is getting the fire and Palamutes and the water Palamutes from the fight after this, because it lets the player have a lot more DPS, and you're talking about 20, 30 damage a swing. This doesn't sound like a lot, but again, we're talking about monsters with maybe 900 hit points, 1,000 hit points, feeling really tanky. So that damage adds up real fast for tearing through a health pool. The only problem is that Magnamalo is in speedrunning terms, a tricky fight. Magnamalo can leap back like that, he can hold his moves, he can do a lot of shenanigans with his moveset that make him very difficult to stay glued to. And while SwitchX has some tools to stay on top of Magnamalo, that could be really tricky if you're not really on the ball. And so Jal's going to demonstrate some really big combat mastery. The only thing that's unfortunate, that flinch is a little bit tricky because it means he has to roll in to get the ZSD, but the break should help him secure some 10. Oh, good. It's funny, Magnamalo casually is not that scary, but as a speedrun player, that's unlucky.
Yeah, it's unlucky. Classic ZSD moment where you get the tail when you aim at the head.
Yeah, Magnamalo has some weird hit zones. Hit zones are basically, think about it like armor. Better hit zone, less armor, more damage. And so you don't want to get stuck on the tail, because the tail doesn't take a whole lot of damage from much of anything, and it's just a little bit of a DPS loss there to latch onto the tail like that, which is why we said unlucky. You really want to be beaten on that head, because you do way more damage. Getting that meter filled again. Magnamalo is also remarkably tanky. It's one of the few monsters where 2 ZSBs is not enough to bring it down to 30%. You really have to stay on top of it, and it's kind of the trend for the rest of this run, where we're out of the free fights, we're now into the execution is in high demand if you want to do these fights fast. And that's true even of the current top weapon, which is LBG, where execution is incredibly demanding if you want to get a top time.
Yeah, this is probably the longest hunt in the entire run. And then all the other ones are a lot faster than this because we're playing pretty resource light right now, and we're about to get a ton of resources in the form of the dogs. But this is like right before we actually get that DPS increase. So I'm pretty sure this is the longest fight in the entire run. It's also the one that can go the worst easily.
Yeah, that was actually a really good Magnamalo given how sketchy that fight can be, for sure. It's also worth mentioning here, there are going to be a lot of incremental upgrades in damage. You'll hear us talk about, rampage skills later on, which are going to incremental increase in damage. Palamute weapons are a very big leap in power, and one of two that we're going to get the entire run, so these are very important. And they're also like guaranteed craft. If you will get enough points in Akasan materials to make those, making them not only are they very powerful, very consistent, but this is the one this is very powerful. This is Soaring Wyvern Blade, which is, if you've ever seen Jal fly off the ZSD and be like, why can't he follow up? Well, isn't surely this thing there? This is that thing. This allows Jal to stay glued to a monster and do big damage consistently, reliably, with high mobility. It's a really big part of the run, and it's a huge part of the Jal's toolkit.
3 for 4.
That is rough. That
This is wild, by the way.
Yeah, so those spawns are not super likely, the far spawns. The normal spawn is far more common. So getting 3 for 4 far spawns is pretty wild. But again, it's an RNG heavy game. This is one of the RNG points in the run. If you struggle with this kind of thing, worth keeping in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can be a pretty vicious speed run in that sense. The good news is Ludroth himself is a fairly simple fight. A flash bomb to control AI here. As long as Jal executes, this will be a pretty consistent fight.
We can deal with that. Yeah, that's only stamina.
So
We don't
fights
need
in this
that.
game are debuffs. They're sometimes inconsequential, sometimes they're scary. There's one later on that's going to be poison. Poison is usually fine, but if it was allowed to go unchecked, poison can become very scary very quickly. And this is what I was talking about earlier about Jal having super armor. Jal got run over. Jal does not care. Resumes attacking monster. ZSD moment.
This over here.
Placing down a trap so that the Ludroth will roll into the trap. And setting up some trinks to DPS down the monster a little bit more so that he gets the clean capture.
I was worried there for a second, though. We're getting close to the end of that trap timer.
Yeah, that was a
little squirrely.
little spooky.
It's okay. We have to go for greedy stuff like that. We're losing time everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing
this is
time
one
from
of those,
RNG, so we gotta play a little more aggressively.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, Switch X is a weapon that rewards that kind of thing. If you can play aggressively on Switch X and know your matchups, the weapon will absolutely reward you for your efforts. Did you switch PAL weapons?
After this. Remember, it's Tetranodon weapon.
Right, yeah, it's after Church. Sorry,
Yeah, all good. Please, I missed the ledge.
Yeah, so this is another unfortunate spawn. The nice thing about Tetranodon is we don't want to see Tetranodon, so we're going to go through one of those traps mentioned earlier, which is using a trap to give us an opening that settles the fight. So essentially, because our only tool for crowd control is DPS, we're going to use a trap and one of our sparse resources here to lock Tetranodon down to do a bunch of damage so that when we do have a live monster without any control, we can just DPS it and keep it locked in by hand. Because Tetranodon is fairly bulky compared to a lot of other monsters in this too. And because ZSD has the property of being completely nullified are nullifying most damage, Jal is able to stay really glued to Tetranodon because of that initial trap damage, and should be able to get a clean kill. One of the interesting things about this fight is also that Tetranodon is capable of doing stun very quickly, and so Jal has to be a little bit careful about where he positions himself and does his combo from, but should be alright. Alright, start Iron Blade. And there's the blue mark on that map. And the shock traps are very fast, so easy kill. Nice.
Very good Tetranodon. And that's also the average spawn for this one. It's the far spawn, but it's actually the most likely. Out of the 3 spawns that every monster has, there's like a % chance associated with it, and that one's the highest chance for Tetranodon. It almost always happens, and it's honestly fine. Just because you're able to hit like all of your resources, and especially if you get like, you know, good squid RNG, which were like the red squids that I ran through at the beginning. You know, you can usually make up some of that time loss.
Yeah, there is a mythical golden squid which will give a bunch of affinity. It's 50% affinity, which is crit chance, and a bunch of resistances. That is the dream solution. But
I don't think my dog had the Agnesome weapon.
You did not know. That's why I asked you to switch it.
Yeah, well, I just recognized it there, so he at least has the Tetranodon weapon, and I should be able to fix that, because I know I crafted 2, so I'll be able to fix it in Rampage. Yeah, I didn't realize the dogs are out of order.
Sure. That'll do it.
That'll do it.
But yeah, the Tetranodon weapons, since we have seen the damage numbers without the weapon, you're going to see them here. This is thankfully another very simple fight. Kuliaku is our dumb son. We love him dearly. And he's going to go and try and pick up his rock, which is honestly ideal for us. We want him to pick up his rock. We want him to try and get for that, because it's a long animation. There it is. And it gives Jal a free ZSD. It gives us a free continued flinch. It lets us do a bunch of damage. It's good for everybody. He gets to play with his rock. We get to go ahead and do a lot of damage. Everybody's happy. This is honestly a dream scenario as a speedrunner. Is this monster is very consistent and very free. And fast. Because he's not got a ton of HP. He just kind of falls over. Like that.
Very good. Very, very fast.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. ZSDs kind of melt health bars. This is part of the reason this weapon is fun to play, is it takes health bars and goes, what if you didn't have that?
But we're coupling that like strategy with the fact that we're also using an armor that's designed for high rank. So we have a ton of defense and just a ton of offense. So we're able to shred through this game, and that's specifically because this is the add-ons category. Without any of these resources, this becomes a lot more of a patient speedrun. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
5 for 4. For 5. 6 for 4. Oh my gosh, please send help.
Yeah. That's definitely unlucky, but coming up is Rogi. Okay. Yeah, Rogi is another one of those same category as Baggy and Kuliaku, where they're kind of just small wyvern that are pseudo wyvern, whatever they're called. Small beans, chickens. Yeah, small beans, chickens that are fairly easy to control. Rogi is the first one that's kind of scary. Rogi does poison damage. If you let poison damage add up and you don't control it, it can be a big problem, especially to an inexperienced runner who does not, carry many curatives. We don't really carry antidotes or potions if we don't have to, because they're a wasted item slot. So we have a couple from just like the game giving them to us, but we don't really bring any extra. So as a new runner, this can be one of those fights where if it goes wrong and you let the poison rack up, it can be kind of scary. So yeah, you see those 31s coming off of the dog there, the 34, 28. That's dog damage. It adds up real quick. It's honestly a genuine fear that you might just kill Rogi here through dog damage.
done it before. I've done it like 4 times now, actually. It loses 40 seconds just because the dogs are going nuts.
Yeah. They hurt.
All right, cool. Y'all like watching paint dry? Because this is about as exciting. No, I'm kidding. It's a little more exciting than that. Rampage is a very decisive topic in this game. It was only in the base game experience, and there are, as far as progression is concerned, 3 required rampages. This is the first one. This is the Rampage tutorial. And Rampage is a tower defense game mode. I think is the best way to kind of describe it. But pretty much we have this arena, and we have all these little installments that we can have. And Utsushi here is going to teach us how to use them all. And so we're just going to try to do this as fast as possible.
Yeah, and Jal has a lot of very precise setups. This is actually a remarkably technical part of the game, despite being...
More or less an auto-scroller.
It is, but there's a lot of, like, places for bombs and things that you use that are... that, like, nuke at poor Akasam, man. Poor Akasam.
Don't worry about him.
He won't
He's
be
fine.
He won't be fine. It's okay. There's a fair bit of like weirdness with how the tutorial progresses as well. So we do some shenanigans to make that safe.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of jank in here. And Sushi's gonna yammer at us for a little bit. He's gonna ask us to demonstrate we know how to use a ballista. So we don't blow up our own bombs, we are going to go ahead and shoot at this mountain. Just if he gives us credit, you know, for knowing how to use a ballista.
Gotta use it. He's
But
like,
any good
yeah.
Good.
No, it's just like, he's like, hey, this is how you use it. Do you know how to use it? And we're like, yes, like, show me.
Yeah, like any good instructor, he needs you to do it more than once, right? Like,
Yeah.
just prove you have competency over the siege equipment. This is also one of the areas of the game where people got very, very frustrated because it's a long tutorial, and it is a long tutorial. But thankfully, we have some silly things we can do along the way to make it a bit more more palatable. As a speedrun, this is honestly just another split.
Yeah. And it's a cool one, too. There is some optimization to it.
Yeah, there's... And I personally think the split dam drop bird on bomb is forever going to make me laugh, so...
Drop bird on bomb.
Yep.
And that's the goal.
Okay, so Jel's gonna bring up... I have yet to see you fail it. I'm excited. Jel's gonna put down more defenses here. More talking, more defenses, more movement. Get some of the locals to help pitch in.
Yeah, we gotta get all the guys out of the ground to come help us. We're storing them underground.
I've always wondered why there are people under there. I don't get it. Do they get lunch breaks? Like, what's happening?
I hope so, because, like, I wouldn't want to be under there either.
Yeah, and this is our first example of Rampage gameplay. It's very exciting. This is a very tactical and difficult fight. This is I don't try this at home. All right, gonna go for those shots. Up is a KO. Dang. Flawless.
And dead.
Yeah, that's kind of the running trend of this. All joking aside, you will likely see many of these monsters get stun locked, dropped from the sky, and exploded. That is not uncommon. But one small cool thing about this is that Jal has gotten to level 2. That also means that he now has a cannon. This cannon takes no prisoners. It's a very good cannon. He's going to be looping shots over that small ridgeway over there to hit monsters as they come in for free damage. The little 27 damage numbers popping up there as the Citronodon's walking up. And it also has a pair of charge shots, which do a lot of damage and really let Jal chunk through health bars. And one of them's AoE, which is very useful coming up. God, your tutorial skips are always...
Oh, yeah. You do them enough. So that was actually like one of the things when I was like first learning how to do this game. I was like, I'll never get to that level, and then like here I am. I was like, oh, I won't be able to learn this in Japanese, casually, just like messing up menus and then being able to like fix them because I've just like memorized the Japanese menuing now.
Yeah, it is definitely very impressive. It's one of the things that sets up, you know, runners that have run this a lot and newcomers is how good are your menus, especially in a language you don't speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this cannon's gonna be our main source of damage for a little bit, and then we're gonna switch back to the ballista as we unlock the next tier of ballista. Keeping with the running theme of monsters that can't move, we prefer didn't. This is gonna be another one of those cases where Zhao's going to pin down a monster and take advantage of one of the silliest mechanics in Rampage to do a frankly hilarious amount of damage. So if you've seen this before, this is typically the point where the counter swing goes off. You know, 100 damage swings is getting a little silly. And then there's this.
Oh, I didn't see it.
619 damage.
Yep, 619.
That
Just
Urzaros
a
had a
very,
family.
very big number. That's like the only redeeming quality. I shouldn't say the only redeeming quality because I don't know. Some Rampages can be a lot of fun. Like the Ibushi one's a lot of fun. But one of the biggest redeeming qualities of this is the fact that you have the counter signal, and when you get to like take end game equipment into Rampages and then do 6-figure numbers on monsters, you're like, ah, yes, that was cool.
Yeah, it's very much a dopamine generator. Here, Zhao's gonna predict where Atsushi's gonna land because he's done this so many times. Honestly, skill issue on Atsushi's part.
You get predicted, dude.
Get predicted. At which point, Zhao's gonna go through this tutorial and get access to a couple of really cool toys. One of the more powerful members of our team is the Elder Fugen, who hopefully doesn't miss. We'll explain that later. And 2 turrets that are gonna do pretty phenomenal damage throughout the entire fight. These are gonna do 90 damage a shot. There's 2 of them, 180 damage a shot. Absolutely ridiculous DPS. These are phenomenal weapons. If you don't use these casually at home, give them a try. They're worth it.
They absolutely are. And you can do this exact same setup where you just point them at the front, and anything that lands in gets hit by them.
Yeah, they're super consistent. They do a ton of damage. Here, Zhao's upgrading his defenses to be different tiers. He wants to get people on the cannon, and he wants to switch his own cannon out for the double shot ballista, which is going to be our main source of DPS going forward. And also grab that shot. Ooh, actual bomb.
Yay! That's my second, so we're good.
Cool.
Look at how cool Fugen is. Oh, wait, Fugen?
Come on, dude. Yes. Oh, you got
Alright,
it.
good. I got all 3.
Fugen
wait, a shiny.
succeeded his mission. Nice. And we're gonna get back to the bomb back there. At which point, this is just a tower defense mode for the rest of this clear. Is this the part where I make a joke about tuning into your stream to hear people rant during this?
Yeah, there's just a couple of monsters left. We're now through like the hard parts. Just some clean KOs here for the rest of this will progress this as fast as possible.
Yeah, and at this point, you know, the dual crossbow, it doesn't seem like it does much damage per shot, but it really does rack up DPS because the cyclic rate's so high, and it just generally keeps pumping out damage. It's really good. And there you see those turrets on the side doing 90 damage, 90 damage, those really add up to very quick kills of monsters. And once again, that funny theme we keep going back to, I don't want the monster to move, is going to return. We have a bunch of barrel bombs. We got a bunch. You have a lot of barrel bombs. Wow, okay.
I do have a lot.
You're stacked.
I'm rolling in barrel bombs.
Comes back. Do 600 damage there. once again, we're taking advantage of the counter signal and getting run over by a bear to do that big damage. And once Jal gets into that empowered mode on his switch axe, we'll latch on, and that should be game. This is a very good run. Yeah, it didn't even get the final explosion. And that's Rampage.
That bear is so rude every time. I need to put that trap actually forward a little bit more, closer to my barrel. And I'll stop getting hit by it.
So, Jal's got a lot of menuing to do here. He's got 60 seconds, which normally is a drag, right? Oh, you gotta sit there. No, for us, this is actually a really, really welcome menu, because a lot of things that Jal wants to go optimize of his own item set, as well as his Palamutes. Equipping some skills, making sure they have all their buffs, and making sure that he has everyone's weapon equipped properly to be the right element, making sure everything is tidied up, so that he doesn't have to worry about messing with his Palamutes again. This is a very important menu for us, and if you do it moderately quickly, you have time to make sure you're ready to go before you need to go do your fanfare skip. So it's a really nice menu for us.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the things I love the most about this game, is as a viewer of the speedrun, is that downtime isn't actually downtime.
No, yeah, there is actually, that was the one thing that I always said about this run, and I always feel bad streaming it because there is zero downtime.
Yeah, so Jal's going to get access to the first of 2 player character buffs, that being the Rampage skill, which gives him a bit more raw damage, and he's going to start the Bishitan quest. This is a tricky, funky monkey. He can be an absolute pain, or he can be an absolute breeze. Really fun fight either way. And this is going to be the first fight before we start getting into the defender weapon upgrades, which Jal's damage isn't really falling off just yet, but by the time he gets the upgrade, it's going to be really welcome to have the extra DPS. It is a significant upgrade. It's more damage. He can swing for longer without his weapon getting dull. It's just a really, really strong upgrade, and that's coming up here very soon. And that's and it's behind this funky monkey. We gotta go punch him, unfortunately.
Okay, he doesn't mind.
He's kind of down to clown. All right. Yeah, so all of Bishitan's attacks have some sort of backpedal and mobility to them, or most of them do, and it makes Bishitan really kind of tricky to pin down because he is so nimble, so tricky. And a few of his abilities have things like, nicely done, have like flash bomb effects or poison, or do a lot of stun or whatever.
Homing persimmons.
Yeah, homing persimmons. He is a tricky monster, and it makes him very difficult to fight in a speedrunning context, and frankly, casually he can be pretty tricky too. He's just a very tricky fight to do casually, and that KO is welcome here because usually you want to save that KO for a perfect opportunity, but here it's free DPS. It's a CC'd monster. A CC'd monster is a good monster. There's a nice break, nice dunk. Wow.
Yeah, that was a tail dunk too, because he was just about to stand up on it. That was great.
That's fantastic. Okay, yeah.
Don't jump, don't jump! Oh, you get in there. That was like at the very start of the animation. That was really nice. We got really lucky there. Because that jump was coming. He would have jumped back and we'd had to wait for him. Oh.
Wow. That's ridiculous. Okay, that is some phenomenal timing there at the end of that fight to make the Funky Monkey, honestly, really clean. Good stuff. I think that was one of the best Bishitan I've seen in a minute.
Oh, yeah. That was my best one today, that's for sure.
Yeah, now you're into 4-star. This is the home stretch of the run. We have Somnicanth coming up. Somnicanth is... she sure is. And here, Jal's going to buy some trinks and engage with this NPC for the last time for the entire run. And upgrade the defender weapon to its next tier. Get our last damage. And ride out for the rest of this run. Somnicanth is just like Bishitan in that she has some attacks that can apply crowd control to you, which makes her really snowbally. A lot of time lost if you're not able to wrangle her correctly, but hopefully this strat should keep her locked down and make her a fairly free fight.
Yeah, the only sketchy part to this is the opener, because she has a roar that we can't immune. We only have earplugs 4, and we need earplugs 5 to not be affected by her. But this spawn's actually great for what we're trying to do, because she's in a singing animation right now. Yeah, unfortunately, just a little too early on that roar, but we might be able to use these Remobra to build up a quick charge.
Yeah, so project is kind of interesting. I've mentioned building up the charge on projects a couple times here, but one of the things that projects has that's really better neat is you look at that big sword gauge beneath Jal's health bar, not the green one next to it, or the one with the mechanical inside of his unit, depending on which gauge you're looking at. That is going to be the charge gauge. That is where every single one of Jal's big attacks comes from, and as long as he hits the monster in sword mode, he will build the outer aura, and those attacks will consume fuel. He balances those two things by using various attacks, and keeping the monster glued. That's already glue. Wow. That is already capturable. That is ridiculous.
That fight is hard to stay stuck to her because she's not easy to flinch, right? So that's why we like to use that pitfall trap at the beginning, because that's building up all of her flinch thresholds, so we can actually stick to the side of her.
Yeah, actually, that brings up an interesting point. One of the cool things about Monster Hunter is that there are lots of different damage types, and many of them build up differently on the monster from various attacks. Jal is using switch attacks, has what's called an exhaust file that does, KO damage on the head and stuff like that. And each of these will interact differently with the monster, and a lot of this speedrun is preparing certain conditions to get very small openings and then exploiting those openings for the DPS. So if you like that kind of nitty-gritty, this is a really good run for you, because there's a lot of really cool details you can exploit within this game engine to make fights more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun run to route, I find.
Yeah. And honestly, to optimize outside of the RNG.
Mm-hmm. Because you can't do anything about a spawn location, but you can do something about what you do when you get there, and that's a huge part of this run. Speaking of optimizations, Barioth is kind of funny, because if he's done really well, these paws that let him dance around the arena and be super agile and nimbly are his biggest weakness. Because if you manage to break those, he can't do much of anything. And Jal already has a fantastic combo started. He's going to get the horn break, and he's going to get a big flinch. Hopefully this lets him get this. Yeah, there's his ESD. Beautiful. That's so pretty that that goes well. Barioth has this big slam attack. This is honestly the best case scenario for that particular positioning, as it lets Jal continue and punish and get that first break. This is fight is officially over. That's game.
Dog tail cut, let's go.
Yeah, that tail cut breaks Barioth free of the flinch, but it also means that Barioth now has no tail, which means his hitbox to read.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the dunk!
The dog dunk, let's go.
That was beautiful.
That was actually kind of sick. And this is why the dogs are goated.
Yeah, that dog
We
did
just stand
reasonable
right
damage
here.
there.
1 and 2.
Nicely done. Yeah, Barioth can be a little tricky, but if you get those breaks, he can't do anything and just kind of flounders until he's dead. Yeah, one more menu here to go ahead and make sure he's situated properly.
Yeah, it's up. I need to go up 1. That's it. That's okay. I can just do that menu out here, and I usually do anyways.
Yeah. Next up is Raytheon, which is a really good fight in this game. If you ever want to learn a weapon or you want to learn a particular fight or playstyle, Raytheon is the go-to monster to learn on, because she has a very simple moveset, but it's a very learnable moveset, and it is kind of punishing when you get it wrong. This is another one of those.
My goodness, this run today.
Oh my god, that is.
I mean, you guys wanted to see a lot of Monster Hunter, right? Like, that's really what's
Yeah,
happening
sure.
here. You know, you don't want a fast run, you want a long run, because we all love Monster Hunter.
Exactly. The nice thing about this does get to show off. At the start of the game, Jal picked up 3 great wire bugs for those things that just slingshot him across the sky. This one wire bug we only use in this spawn point, so you guys got to see a rare spawn and a rare movement tech. It does take a lot of the time out of the movement. What's not as
She's
bad
on the
as it
other
could
side of
be.
the arena too.
That's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie
She's
to you.
she's just like, I want to be as far away as I possibly can be. Sure.
I saw her praising too much in the intro. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
The nice thing about this is that, so Raytheon has a lot of big openings. You're going to see a lot of the basic principles of this fight extended to Raytheon, where a lot of her flinches and her wind-ups are large. Oh my goodness, you madman.
Hello. I can't get a good angle on her. I need a flinch. Ow.
That
that
tail
works.
flip is one of the few things in this run that can kill Jal, in theory. It does poison, which is the scary thing about it. If you get tail flipped, it'll do poison damage, which will give turn your health bar red instead of green. If you are ever hit with a red
Oh,
health
I'm
bar,
so good at this game. Sorry.
no, that was really good. That was really good. If you're ever hit with a red health bar, all of that red health is immediately removed from your bar and poison keeps sticking. So if Jal is ever tail flipped twice, it is a very dangerous position to be in. But Jal is a madman.
Oh,
Hold that scuff back.
I
somehow.
love this fight so much.
It's so good.
Can I just fight Rathian 12 times in a row? Is that, like, allowed? Get in there.
Nicely done. That was a beautiful recovery.
So, Switch Charger, that skill where I recharge the sword and slide across the battlefield, has iframes on it, and I find this to be the fight to, like, practice that on to be the best. Especially that tail flip, you can just get the timing of it, and it always looks so cool. I did that hitbox, like, perfectly, because I, like, rubbed against the tail the entire time, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
that's
is
really goofy.
And to be clear, that is not a large amount of iframes. That is a very small
Oh.
window, and it is in a very weird place in that animation, so that is genuinely impressive.
At 60 FPS, it's 8 iframes. So,
You... Yeah, I think my original comment of "you're a madman" is correct.
I love this game. So at 30 FPS on the Switch, it's 4, by the way.
Oof. That is rough.
It is rough.
Nice thing. So here's a speaking of rough. This fight tends to be go pretty well, but if you ever played this game casually and you wonder why this small electric squirrel took you and your ancestors out and just beat you to death, be ready, be happy, be excited.
He's the vibe check monster. This one's great.
He is. I love
Also another Narnia
Toby.
spawn.
Yeah, I love Tobikadachi because he is a bit of a vibe check, but Tobikadachi in the speedrun has a lot of decent hit zones, like his tail is pretty good. And if you're able to manage his moveset at all, you can absolutely tear his health bar apart. And Toby has some fairly large openings, especially on his Enrage and his tail flips. So he's a pretty fun fight, and I highly recommend this one casually once you get over being hit by the entire tail slam, because that will absolutely destroy you. I had a friend that went into G-Rank, the end game of this particular video game, in Lightning League armor, and got hit by that, and just ceased to exist.
Uh-oh. Dogs don't kill it. Sheath weapon, so the dogs don't kill it.
Nice, yeah. That's a hardy capture. Kobe has a big lunge. Yep. Nice,
Panic dive fly! Fine. Oh my gosh. I didn't mean I just wanted to iframe it, but I panic dove away from it. Huge animation commitment. Very
Yeah.
spooky.
The thing about the Superman dive is you only want to use Superman dive when you absolutely need every iframe in existence. Right? Like, it is only there for no iframes in this universe are sufficient for what is about to happen.
We only have 2 hunts left.
Yeah, you're tearing through it.
Oh,
Next up is Volvidon. Continuing that theme of monsters we don't want to see do anything, Volvidon can run around.
oh wait, did we
Volvidon
get
has
this Narnia
Para.
spawn? Oh my gosh, okay, we didn't. This Narnia spawn's literally in the northernmost portion of this map. It's the furthest spawn of the entire game, and I'm happy we did not get it. It is also its
Yeah.
10% spawn, but that would have been really funny.
That would have completed the Blurst run.
Yeah. Yeah, because as far as spawns are concerned, this has been pretty cursed.
Yeah, but as far as mechanics have been concerned, you've been fighting pretty darn well.
Oh yeah, no, this has been a great run.
So this is definitely one of those monsters you don't want to let do anything,
Yeah.
because... can I say it?
He roll.
He suck.
He suck.
Terrible.
No, he's this monster has like very little health in compared to like what we're going to be doing, but his mechanics are not great.
His mechanics are designed to be very CC heavy, and I mentioned earlier the only thing that can knock Jal off of his ESD is like Para or Stun. Well, this guy does Stench and Para, which means he does the thing that... Oh, you're on the head, you're fine.
Yeah, we're fine. Dog's got a trip, we're perfect.
Nice.
I'm just gonna play
Yeah.
it safe. If I was going for a really sweaty run, I would have capped him right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a Switch X. Did it die?
I killed it. Well, we were doing really well there for a second, and and then we killed it. So that's a guaranteed 40-second time loss. That's pretty funny. Hey, maybe I should have greeted it. My damage was great.
This wouldn't be a marathon run if you didn't have some scuff. Let's be real.
All right, here, hold on. Let me see if I can remember how do you pet the dog. Here. Pet you guys.
Remember I said how every 2 trank
There
bombs
you
saves?
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
This isn't a time loss. This is petting the anti-cancer dog.
Oh,
this is
there
just
we
winning at life.
go. That's what everyone wanted to see.
This is pet the dog %. We succeeded.
Much better. All right, well, we made it into something. We got one more hunt
did.
left.
Yeah, the 6-up hunt is the last one of the entire run. This is Magnamalo. Basement Cat gonna stay on the floor.
Better.
Basement Cat Plus gonna stay on the floor. If not,
okay, good
is
spawn.
Basement Cat. That's not a bad spawn, actually. Yeah, not at all. So, remember that theme I mentioned? You're probably tired of me mentioning. Yeah, more of that.
We're gonna
More
make
of
the
that.
monster not move.
Yeah, and it's through to do through a cool mechanic. Magnamalo has a mechanic called Hellfire. Ooh, it sounds spooky, right? But Hellfire is actually Magnamalo's biggest weakness, because if you hit the spot that's on fire a lot, he kind of just falls over. So if you punch him in the leg repeatedly, the 4-legged creature just tumbles. I love Magnamalo, all joking aside. He's a great monster and a great fight. If you haven't fought this monster, highly recommend it. Very, very fun. Jal's going to distribute his damage across Magnamalo now to guarantee where Hellfire spawns. And he wants to be inside of ZSD mode and up in the air right here. Yep.
Uh-oh. That's fine. Oh, I didn't get Hellfire, though. That's unfortunate. It would have been better if I got Hellfire.
Yeah. So now that he's in Hellfire mode, Jal's going to be able to focus that leg and keep him stunned. This is going to be a small... Yeah, oh, never mind, dog. Lol. So, Jal's taking advantage of the slight dashes on the Switch Axe and going to get stuck in on that ZSC. Remember, almost nothing that Magnamalo can do can get him off it. He's just going to get knocked over from the Hellfire knockdown, and now this is over. The poor
All right,
guy's getting
time
knocked
is
down.
coming. Time is in 3, 2, 1, time.
Nicely done. Yeah. As soon as you got the back Hellfire proc, it was over.
Oh yeah. No, once the back Hellfire proc is up, actually the run is like the monster is almost dead just based on the type of damage and the amount of damage that we do. It's actually really cool. I think Hellfire is a super cool mechanic because he cycles through like 3 locations: his tail, his arms, and then his back. And once it's on his back, once you've gone through all 3 of those locations, his topple is about to happen. I just think I love Magnamalo. I think it's a great fight.
Agreed. GG's.
Yeah. So that's Monster Hunter Rise Magnamalo percent. Like we talked about, this is the main any percent category. This is the shortest category for the game. Add-ons makes the run super comfy and gets you really akin to moving and operating in the game really quickly. So if you are interested in Monster Hunter speedrunning, this is a really good one to go towards. I have decent notes on this. We've done a ton of marathon runs for it. There's a lot of commentary runs out there. So if you want to learn it, it's a great way to learn it. And if you want to learn more about it and join the community of people doing it, you can join the Monster Hunter speedrunning community. That's MHSR, and you can find that Discord link on speedrun.com. But yeah, I mean, and it's a ton of fun. And there's also other categories. There's more restrictive categories. There's no tools, which doesn't allow you to cap monsters. And it also doesn't allow defender gear. So that's a really neat one. It also takes out wyvern riding and a couple of other things. There's also no add-ons, which you don't do it with the defender gear. You don't do it with the incredibly OP, high rank armor, so you don't die. You essentially remove the convenience of this category, and it becomes a little bit more of a slog. But still, I mean, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different ways to speedrun this game, and if you're interested in Monster Hunter, you should try this one. I think this is the best one to get into.
100%. 100%. It's a fun run.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for having us. I love showing off Monster Hunter at GOC. I really do appreciate you guys putting on this event and having us again, yet again. I really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, one more day, right? There's one more day tomorrow.
There is one more day tomorrow.
Yeah, so
guys.
Thank you guys for having me. Air, thank you for doing commentary with me.
Hell yeah, that was a ton of fun.
And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and yeah,
Fantastic run.
thank you. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wonderful time. I had a blast watching it. That's it for tonight, though. We're out of games. We're out of hours. We've got one day left. Everybody, we've got to come out full force tomorrow. Cap everything off on a great note. Jal, Air, thank you. Everybody who's run today, thank you. Everybody who's been here watching, thank you. We're going to see you guys all again tomorrow. Stick around. We're going to be raiding out. Everybody have a great night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I will see you guys again tomorrow, right back here. Good night, everybody.
Peace, everybody.